Okay, Miss Doreen Molefe, uh,
Yebo.
thank you so much for making time. I have the pleasure of knowing you professionally and personally as well, and I'm honored that you are a guest on this platform. So, but yeah, man, for those that may not know Horo Oman, can you just briefly just describe yourself?
Hmm. Yeah, ne? Um, Doreen Molefe, it's the name that I use. I've been using it for years. Um, when somebody asks you who you are, it's not easy for some people or people like myself to answer that because I'm just a lot of layers and layers and layers. I can
Mm.
describe myself professionally that I'm no longer a journalist. I'm a digital entertainment editor now.
Wow.
I'm a qualified chef, internationally qualified chef, and newly qualified traditional healer, or Sangoma as Batu. So I was born here in Joburg, and I moved to Northwest when I was 5 to go stay there. That's where my mom is from. Actually, my mom and dad, they're both from Rustenburg,
Mm.
different villages. So when my dad died, my mom decided that Joburg was no longer the place for her. So she moved the whole family back to the rurals. So that's where basically I was raised until I came this side to pursue my professional career.
Which is journalism.
Yes. In fact, when I came to Joburg, I actually wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be an actress. Yes. Yes, I did a lot of stage plays when I was back home. I was always the lead actress, and everyone thought I was gonna be an actress, when I get here because there were a lot of opportunities back then. But somehow, I don't know how things they work. We sometimes feel like, what, I should have taken this path. But in actual fact, our destinies have already been decided for us. We keep saying that things are being delayed. Things are not being delayed. It's just that your path has already been decided. You just need to focus. When something doesn't work out, it's just the universe just trying to tell you that, what, that's not the direction that we wanted you to go, or
Mm.
we wanted you to take. So when I got here, yeah, beside that, beside wanting to be an actress, I did try a couple of other theater places to try and pursue this, but it didn't work out. And then I went to Vets Tech back in the day because I
Mm.
wanted to study PR. While I
Mhm.
was on my way there, somebody took my purse. It had my matric results. It had 400 rand that my mom had given me for registration.
Yo.
So PR didn't work out for me because I think there were like 3 days before the closing date. And I
Mm.
had to drive, take a taxi, go back to Mabiskral, Rustenburg, try
Mm.
and get my matric results. But when I came back to Joburg, vets, they said, you know what, we can't take these results, go try elsewhere. Then that's how I ended up going to a community college to study journalism. So yeah, that's how the journey
I'm
started.
thinking now, ne? I'm thinking now for that criminal. Do you think the criminal was sent by the ancestors or God to
Yeah,
really?
yeah, I was a blessing to him. Seriously, I was. Because really, like I say, fate,
Mm.
our fate, our fate and destiny have already been decided. Had I gone to vets and studied PR, where would I be right now? Because I don't know where I would have been. But the
Mm.
only way that the only testimony that I have is the current life that I have currently,
Mm. Mm.
So despite the up and downs, the challenges that I faced, I am where I was supposed to be and I'm where I'm supposed to be. Either way, every decision, every mistake, everything else that has ever happened in my life brought me to this very moment where I'm talking to you.
You know what? That's dope. That sounds like a script from a very dope sci-fi movie, when they do like an intro, and the movie is gonna be dope. So obviously, a lot happened back and forth, but when did you realize that you have the gift?
Ever since I was young, I've always known. Between my mom and my dad, I'm an only child. Then my mom has 3 more kids, which are my 3 brothers. And then my dad had other kids. I have a sister and a brother from my dad's side. And my dad's family, this is some of the things that I've discovered when I was starting to ask questions. So from my dad's family, my grandfather, Nelingaka, somebody who will describe as a herbalist. They just look at you and they'll be able to know what is wrong with you, and they can be able to combine certain mutis or diklare and then be able to heal you. Then my dad was apparently his assistant. So my dad passed away when I was 3. And then from my mom's side, my grandfather was also Ngaka, very famous Ngaka ya Motswana. So between these two, they are holding quite a lot of ancestry, history, healing. And I'm the only child born. And both of them, they have the gift born, and they didn't take up those things. So the only person that's there, that's from part of these 2 people, it's me. So there was no way that I can be able to say I escaped this. Maybe if I had a sibling, then I would have said, but unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. And when I was 6, I got really, really, really sick. So I won't say I was a sickly child, but the one thing that used to trouble me, the nosebleeds, like all the time. Like maybe a day, it could happen like 3 times. So this time around, I got very sick. I had nosebleed, I had flu, I wasn't eating, and I just didn't know what was wrong with me. I mean, I'm like 6. And my mom by then was in the hospital giving birth to my little brother. And I was left alone with my grandmother. So go high, so obviously we used to go up the mountain, but the mountain that, or the hill, not the mountain, the hill that I grew up on, it's Kitaba Yabadi. Maybe it's Taba Yamatudu. Used to be the chief. So they will name places after the chiefs inside the village. So I went there like I've always been going there. And I picked up Slari. Muti. I picked it up and I went home and I asked my grandmother, my grandmother are when my mom's name who said this thing?
Whoa.
I was 6. Yes.
That's amazing. So did your grandmother fix it for you?
Yeah, she did. My grandmother's husband, my late grandfather, they are both late anyway. Nelly and Ngak. So my grandmother obviously knew Muriano Neliwa. And then and then on Friday, I was taken to hospital. But when I got there, the doctor went check about right.
Wow.
And I went back home.
So basically you healed yourself.
You can say that.
Obviously, it wasn't you, it was like, yeah.
I listened. The one thing that I've realized about the spiritual journey is about listening. It's about being observant, because a lot of things, it's like that thing where someone will say, I had this deep feeling that something wrong was going to happen. But because we are not in tune with our spirituality, you decided to slide and then you didn't listen. Don't go to that event. When are you decide to go to that event? And what happens when you come back home on your way back from that event? You get into an accident. But you were warned. And then it will only make sense to you 15 days or 2 days later or 3 months later that, you know what, I should have listened. So listening, it sums up everything about spirituality.
But I hear you. Good. I'm just trying now to figure out, like, when you have a bad feeling. But I guess it's a complicated question because I was going to ask about it. How do you know? You know, but I guess you answered it when you said you must be in tune with your spirituality and you must pay
Yes.
attention. But how do you draw the line now from being paranoid and to being, you know, observant?
Being paranoid. Paranoia, it's a medical term, right?
Mm,
A condition, it's a medical condition, paranoia,
mm,
caused by certain traumas that people go through. And then therefore, because of whatever that you've gone through, you develop this paranoia that, you know what, you have to lock the house. You get into the car and then you get out to go and try and find out, did I lock the house? You do that 3 times. You come back, did I switch off the stove because of whatever that has happened going? But when you are a spiritual person or a person that believes in the spirit, um, you already have the tools that will be able to govern you or direct you when something wrong will happen. You know that there are signs everywhere. Some
mm.
people, when you see the the dove say two, it's two for glad. When you see a one, it's one for soul, meaning that you're going to cry or you're going to see or hear some bad news. So all those signs, if you are taught how to see, observe, and understand the signs, then you know the difference between paranoia and the warnings or the signs from the spirits.
Okay, so tell me about your journey, right? Because now I've known you for a long time now. I even lost count the number of years. But I only discovered that you've got the gift, I think recently, man, like, I don't know. And obviously you've known since you were a kid, but obviously now the ancestors came to you and they're like, look, now it's time for you to go to initiation, or I don't know what your journey was, but how was that like for you to be now qualified?
So there's a saying that says people can only see what you allow them to see, right?
Ah, mm, mm,
So and also meaning that when you reveal too much of yourself to people,
mm,
certain people can close up your path or your blessings, right?
mm,
So you don't go around telling people that I have these feelings, I have these things that I'm going through. It's between it's
mm,
spirituality is a very lonely path. And it doesn't need an audience, because if you then perform for people, you're going to miss and mess up a lot of things. As for me, I've always known that someday I have to answer this because of everything else that has happened, again, everything else that I understood about spirituality. When I was 12, I gave my life to Christ. I became a born again Christian.
mm,
When I was 14, I was preaching in front of a lot of people in church. Like, I was never afraid of exercising my spirituality, whether it was Christianity, the religion, or spirituality, the African spirituality, right?
mm,
So there was a time that there was a decision that I made when I was 25, that the church that I grew up under was no longer the same. When I went through the worst period of my life, they were not there for me, right?
mm,
And then in church, they will teach you that there is no sex before marriage. Therefore, you have to be married in order for you to enjoy the benefit of that. So when I was 22, um, a guy paid lobola for me, right?
mm,
When to go say, I want to marry this person. It didn't work out.
mm,
Hence, when I was 25, I decided, you know what? Everything else that I believed that the church stood for, when I needed them, when this guy was, um, let me rather not talk about that for now. But
mm,
when everything else was happening in my life, the church was not there. Even my own family that I thought they would be able to stand by me and support me, they were not there. I had to deal
mm,
with everything by myself. So after that, I chose a path that if I go to church, it's between me and God, right? If
mm,
I feel like today I want to do Mkomboti, it's between me and my ancestors, right?
mm,
So that's I can say when I was 25, then that's when my life transformed. I decided not to fear anything. If I felt like I wanted to date women, I dated women. If I wanted to date a guy, I dated. There was nothing that stood by my path that I was scared of, right? So that's when I developed this thing that anything else that I need to do for me to be right with God and my ancestors, I will do without fear of what the fear or I don't have that. I don't have that. So it was easy for me to follow the path that was set for me. And when I was 2017, I went through a dark period. Like literally, I had everything else that people are praying for. I had been traveling the world. I was doing all these beautiful things. My life was picking up. My chefing career I was on TV doing that I've always wanted to do, but I wasn't happy. Everything else that I had did not bring me the joy that I thought they will. Understand? And I felt like if I killed myself, it would be much better. You know?
Wow.
And that was the beginning of the spiritual transformation. When you awaken, then everything else that is tangible, they don't make sense. Meaning that now you are no longer feeding the flesh, you have to feed the spirit. So it wasn't the fleshy things, the things that mattered, it was my spirit. So I went to therapy, and two therapists actually. The previous year, 2016, I had been involved in a car accident that when everyone looked at my car, they said, we don't understand, how did you survive? But I survived, right? And all those things in 2017, they all came back and became like a burden. And I just felt like, you know what, I need help. I need professional help. So I had a trauma counselor, and I had a psychologist that I was going to. On Tuesday, I'll go to a psychologist. Thursdays, I'll go to the trauma counselor. So the trauma counselor used to come to my workplace. So we'll have like an hour, 2 hours in one of the boardrooms. And then the psychologist, I'll drive to Lens. And both of them told me that I was a danger to myself. I should not be allowed in the streets. Therefore, I should have been committed. And I told them that the only thing that will allow me to decide to be committed is as if I can find someone to look after my dogs.
Wow.
Yeah?
Yeah.
My whole family is in Rustenburg, my immediate family. I'm all alone in Joburg. And all my friends, including you guys, you all have your own lives. And when I was trying to find someone to look after my dogs, no one was available. And I told them, you know what, if I don't feel better, maybe in 2 or 3 weeks, then I will maybe send the dogs to Rustenburg or ask my mom to come this side. But my mom runs her own business here, so coming this side, meaning that her clients will, you understand, the business will suffer a setback. So now I will go back to the thing that everything else here, how life here, how it's planned. If it wasn't because of these dogs, I wouldn't had the energy to wake up in the morning. So I'll wake up in the morning, get ready, and feed the dogs and clean the yard. Then that's the beginning of healing, when you have something to look forward to, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't feel like going to work, but I will wake up and make sure that my dogs are fed. And that's, gradually I healed. Whatever suppressing feelings that I have that made me depressed, they just went away after a few months. It wasn't something that happened in 3 weeks.
Wow.
It took me like 6 months. I disappeared. I never went to events. I'll go to work and come back home. And people will say, Doreen, uko kae? And I was just trying to find myself. So 2017, 2018, then I started dreaming of a lot of ancestral things. And I just like, you know what? I get a different chance when the time is right. Until Kastato Pasha. And Pasha, it's that practice where you are now communicating with your ancestors.
Yeah.
So meaning when I started Pasha, speaking to them, I opened a door that had been closed for a long time, you know.
Mm.
So when I opened that door, everything else just came rushing in. You know, I had dreams. I had all the dreams that I needed for me to find my path. Yauri. I get it, people, you ask me, tell me about your spiritual journey. So
Yes.
all the dreams that I needed for me to start this path, I had them while I was
Mm.
here in my house, you know. And when I finally decided, you know what, it was time, people thought I was joking. So I took leave to go prepare. And then, yeah, I started my journey. But beside starting it then, the whole path was I was supposed to have, not I was supposed to, I had a lot of meetings with my family because you can't do this without family. So
Yeah.
I'll go home, speak to my mom who was against this path. Yeah.
Mm.
She was against it.
Why?
Like she didn't want to hear anything because my mom is a born again Christian. She believes that traditional healers, we give people hope, yes, but we are not Christ, we will die.
Mm.
So we are not immortal.
Yeah.
At some point in my life, I'm going to die. So when I die, the people that are dependent on me to show them the path, what will then happen to them? Somebody on depending on
Can they go to another traditional healer?
but the thing is that traditional, it's like your family doctor, your general general doctor.
Yeah. General
Yeah.
practitioner, your
When you go,
GP.
yeah, general, yes, GP. When you are going to a doctor, you don't go to this one and next week you're going to. Until you open a file here, your file
Yeah.
is already, they understand
Yeah.
your medical history. So
Yeah.
why go to the next one when somebody else knows, Hore, in 2015 you had this and this and this, you know? So that's pretty much how traditional healers we work. When
Mm.
somebody comes to you, you form a relationship, Lebona. Their
Mm.
ancestors, they start to talk to you. This is what you need to do. You start to dream on their behalf sometimes that, you know what, you need to avoid certain things like this and this, you know.
Mm.
So
Mm.
it's a whole relationship, which is what my mom was against.
Mm.
So when she was done being angry, and then she explained to me, she had once went to this traditional healer who said, when we were building a house, when you start foundation, you need this muti to strengthen. When you build the wall, you need this muti to strengthen. Now,
Mm.
when you get to the roof, you need this. When it was time to put the roof, the traditional healer apparently died. So then what must my mom do?
Yo.
You know, so that's I guess everyone has a turning point. I
Yeah.
guess that was a turning point. She trusted this that that much that when he died, she felt like, you know what,
So
what's the point of the whole thing?
she felt like the roof was incomplete. So did you guys finish the roof?
The roof was finished. She said when she came back from that guy's house, she decided to pray, and after praying, everything went well. You know.
Wow. That's interesting. Okay. So, you touched on something earlier about, seeing therapists. Ne? Were they white or black? I'm just asking because I'm trying to understand if they could understand your journey.
The other one was an Indian person,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then the other one was a white woman. And the Indian psychologist is the one who told me that he was aware of the African spirituality. I wasn't the first person to come to him with such questions and
Mm.
difficulties that I was going through. So actually, from him, I was able to find a lot of answers.
Mm.
So you could go to a black psychologist and or therapist, they won't understand your journey unless if they are open to that part, which a lot of black people, which is I've observed that a lot of black people are not open to African spirituality.
Yeah, because I'm thinking now, it's actually like something that I must research on. If there are people that are like psychologists, but also understand African spirituality, especially black
No,
people.
there are quite a lot, especially on Twitter.
Mm.
Because like you said, like a lot of young professionals are now becoming Sangomas or traditional healers.
Mm.
You're already a professional, midway into your life, then you get this calling that you have to attend to. Your professionalism or your professional career, obviously, it won't go away, but you just have to find a way in order to incorporate the two that you can be able to survive. Some people, they take traditional healing as a full-time, dedicated task that they are doing. Some of us choose to do all of them.
No, that's the entrepreneur in you. Yeah, but sorry to cut you.
Yeah, no. I was thinking that I've had so many businesses. One of these businesses, it needs to work out in the end, like a lot. So maybe that's why I have this urge to do a lot of things. I have lived 1,000 lives. So each and every life that I've lived needs to be served. Maybe that's why.
Okay, that's very interesting. So now, obviously, you go through this journey. Now you back at work. Has the environment changed at your workplace? Since obviously now people know, your colleagues know what's going on. How has the company treated you, your colleagues, and the industry in general? Now that people know you've got the gift.
You know, Andy, like I said before, spirituality is a very lonely path. When you take it, you have to be sure that you're not doing, because a lot of people are saying that being a Sangoma, it's something sort of like it's on a tipping point. Everyone wants to be a traditional healer or a Sangoma. Maybe it's something, a fashion. It's not fashionable. It's not fashionable. I had one colleague who said, when I was talking to this particular person, she wouldn't answer me. And I asked her, Kante, what is wrong? She said, yeah, no, she's scared of the Sangoma in this day and age.
Wow.
It helped me a lot. And I moved past that. And then you had other people, because I used to go to work wearing those beads, the beads, but it was a lot of that shows that you're going through an initiation period. I used to wear a scarf or doek because my hair, obviously, like by Tasaga Aduman, so your hair is red. And then most people know I hardly wear dresses, but I had to wear skirts and dresses every day, And my life changed. If I can tell you that, how about a life change? It changed, like literally took 360-degree change. For somebody that I've been driving since I was 23. I bought my first car when I was 23. Right? And when I was going through this, I didn't have a car. I was using public transport. I had no one. Literally, it was in the middle of, it was 2019 when I started. And 3 months in, 2019, November, 3 months in, Corona started. And then they closed the gates. Meaning my family that's in Rustenburg cannot come and visit me. So throughout this journey, I was by myself. People, their families will come and say, I was alone. My friends that I was in communication with, they couldn't come because why? Corona, COVID, lockdown restrictions. So this whole journey, it made me understand why I am the person that I am today. Because if I was someone that depended so much on people, because I had everything else, that the life that I knew, everyone that I had surrounded myself with over the years was nowhere to be found. And it was hard. It was hard, like you had to wake up and then do whatever that needs to be done. And then get on my passing. And I'm like, this is not my life. And not that I didn't have a car. I had a car that my family had given me. But this car, it was acting out. I get say I get driver, I will fall asleep, literally fall asleep while driving. I get so I'm like, hey, Kimokai. But the car is no longer where I was. Obviously, there's moved again. So I was driving. I don't know if I was driving or was like I had this spell. So I felt like, and that car also, it started to have problems. If it's not leaking oil, it's overheating, it's doing all these things. It's like, and then somebody explained to me that my ancestors, they didn't want me to drive. They wanted me to be exposed so that people can see what I'm going through, the journey that I've taken. Because if I'm in a car, I live wherever go Gobela Waka, I go to work, get into my car, and then I go back home, right? But if I'm using public transport, I'm meeting so many people that are looking at me. They're like, I wena. It's right. You know, all those things. I met some Sangomas who gave me words of wisdom, more passing, you know. I met a lot of kind people who helped me out this journey. Got words of encouragement. And then
these are strangers.
These are strangers. And then I was in a bus somewhere called Orlando. And I'm standing next to this tall girl. And I'm like, this woman looks like someone that I know. But obviously, you can't be looking people. And then while I'm also internalizing this, but she says, Doreen will never be in a bus. And she doesn't look like this. And then she sends me a WhatsApp. She's like, hey, D, I saw somebody that looks like you in the bus. I took my phone out, text you again. She was shocked that I was in a bus and I'm standing next to her and she couldn't recognize me because you changed. I lost a lot of weight. I was much darker. But I'm too quiet for somebody that's used to paparazzi. So, like the whole me, the person that I thought I wasn't anymore. So I'll tell you this: the journey was taxing. It was difficult, but in the end, you have to finish. I get how you started, you have to finish. So it wasn't, and I won't say white people did not make it difficult for me. It was my black brothers and sisters who made it difficult for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. So now, obviously, you're here, and you know the journey is completed. You know, knowing Doreen that went to the Branson Center. You obviously are an entrepreneur. Are you well, let me not assume, but have you opened like your own practice, or what are the plans in terms of like, you know, healing people?
I do practice. I have a practice there. My Ndumba is in the house. When I was 30 a few years ago, I got finance obviously from the bank to build myself a house. So I had always had this thing that I don't want to stay or buy a house that somebody else had lived in. So I bought a house. I had builders build this particular house, obviously, by construction. The company that was that got a tender to build those houses. So it's a 3-bedroom house with a garage with a big yard. And one of the bedroom is my Ndumba for now, until I have enough money to build the Ndumba that I feel fit for my ancestors.
Okay.
So I people coming in, but so being a traditional healer, there are different kinds of traditional healing. Okay. Where I went spiritually, where I went, ke ngaka ya Mosotho, ngaka ya Motswana, meaning ngaka. Akere go na le traditional Sangoma, so ngaka ya Motswana, ya Sesotho. Ke Sangoma, meaning gore ke rupeletswe ka Setswana, or I was initiated ka Simbuni le Mundalo. And I'm also a prophet. So I have 3 things that I'm qualified for. So the journey that took me 8 months, I came back with 3 qualifications, if you can say it's a qualification.
Okay. Wow, that's dope. That's dope and that's very interesting. Hey, Kigwasi is hip hop. But anyway, it is what it is.
Oh, yeah, it's dope. It's a we are evolving as people, like
Yeah. No, definitely. We are definitely evolving. Okay, so now obviously you have your own practice and you're still a professional. And then what does this mean for you as a chef?
I'm actually in the process of organizing my cooking class, which is something that I've been doing over the years. But because of the spiritual journey, I had to like everything, you know, by the mobile Andile. It close. Maybe if I say it close, people will understand me better. When they want you to do something, they stop everything else that's a distraction for you. When you think you have a way, they stop. You end up not having anyone at all. Busy for 2 weeks. Busy go out, you think, yeah, no, more potential. Chefing or being a chef, the business, things, business, it dried out. Because I used to do catering, I used to be on TV, get the cooking challenges, get the cooking classes and all that. Everything dried up. When you call people and say, hi, can we collaborate? Nothing works out, you know. So everything else in the past 3 years that I thought I had built for myself, it stopped. Everything, every single thing at all. I mean, so now I'm trying to revive everything because I feel like I've paid my debt. If ever they feel like I owe them anything, the only thing I owe them is to make sure that I follow this path with dignity and respect from Sebenzi wa bona. And everything else that I do has to involve bona, right? So if they, like when I was buying my car in December, I had 2 options of buying. I had 2 options for which cars I wanted. And I went kondomben ka you guys will give me a car that will work for you guys. And they gave me the car that will work. So now I had been looking for the past 2 months. I was trying to find a place, to do this cooking thing. And only this week, things are starting to open up, So whatever that I do, I have to make sure that I involve them.
Okay.
So the next cooking class, it will be done in a month or so. As soon as I have all my, I don't know, but again, ducks in a whatever.
Ducks
But
in a
as
row.
soon as yes. So yeah, we'll see. But being a chef, it's a skill. It can never go away from who I am. Being a journalist or an editor working in the media industry will never go away. And so is being a Sangoma or a traditional healer. It's part of who I am. So all these things are my life and they form part of who I am. And at different stages and levels, I will fulfill all my obligations.
Okay, you're multifaceted, and I like how relaxed you are because you know everything's gonna be fine. You are fine. You are just cruising through it now. So
yes,
yeah.
cruising, right again. We'll see. But yeah, I'm rebuilding. I'm in a process of rebuilding everything. Everything that they will say that everything that the locust has stolen, it will be given back to you. So everything that was stolen was taken away from me, be it because I didn't want to listen to my ancestors or be it because of people that felt like maybe I didn't deserve certain things. But everything else that I've lost, I'm rebuilding now.
Okay. Look, thank you so much for your time. We're already almost an hour in. I don't want to make these conversations for too long because yeah, being in the digital space, people lose focus. Yeah. Yeah, you know, but I think, Lynn, I've learned so much, you know, from your story, and I think a lot of people will relate to your story. You know, I'm just glad for it, you know, you found yourself and you know your purpose, which is like the most important thing in life, knowing your purpose and just, you know, moving forward, being a strong person, you know, no manga business.
Making that mola, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, making that moolah. And yeah, man, you know,
Yeah,
so yeah, thank you so much for your time again.
you're
Miss
welcome.
Doreen Molefe. So gents, she's not
Yeah.
married.
You didn't even ask me what my closing name, Mama. It's Andy. This guy.
I'm also learning, you know why? Because I don't know. Like you just told me today that I need to ask that question. Do you have a different name?
Yes, I go
Hey,
by Gogo Mameti.
Gogo Mami.
Insizwa Kwanekwane,
Oh
yeah.
yes, yes. No, now that you mention it, I remember there's someone else that I know that also has like an AKA. Okay, so it's an AKA, yo, you know. Gogo
You know,
Mami.
yeah, talking about the AKAs, it's not an AK. You know, when you go, I care about you are being initiated. Being
Mm-hmm.
initiated, that means they are awakening the spirit. No more that you're supposed to work. Go on. The one that I say when things are happening is the one that tells you this and this and this, right?
Yeah.
So whoever that person is, from my side, ke gogo mamits, ke
Okay.
mamits. So we use this gogo ke nkgono because ke koko because na ke Motswana. I get.
Yeah.
So you no longer Doreen. Doreen, it's my former self. Now ke na gogo mamits.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
see.
So
And
that's the name. That's the name of this person. You know, the one that inhabit my humanly form. I don't know if I'm
okay.
making sense. Yeah, but the spirit that dwells in me, that governs me, that directs me, that gives me all these things that I'm saying, that everything else that I do with liberty. That's Mamit. Nkoko Mamit.
Gogo Mameti. And that is someone that has lived before. Now is living
Yes,
through
that's
you.
actually my grandmother. My grandmother, the one who birthed my dad.
Oh.
So yeah, so that's another it's a
Because
whole
I have a million other questions,
yeah,
but I think we should segment this. You know, I think once the platform is launched, we'll have topics that we can focus on.
no problem. Yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, like now I wanna know more about that. But
You're
okay,
seeing the stars, right?
one last question about Gogo Mameti. Have you met her when she was still alive?
Yeah, I
Okay.
have. You know, another thing is that you don't know certain things, ne? God's spiritual. We live. This person has lived before.
Mm,
Now, I'm living my life with her, right?
mm,
So there are certain traits that I will see. As in, I don't have a sweet, working a sweet tooth. I
mm.
can't eat the sweets or the chocolate and what. My grandmother loved the sweets. Whenever we went to see her, if some swagala the sweetie, she won't talk to you. You either have to give her a packet of the sweetie or almost fetch so that she can go and buy a lot of sweets. Nana lino le wow, you know.
Mm.
And Kondombeng, I have the sweets, but I kept going. Kifeta the sweets only, you know, a month later, I'm like, oh, asin nakijan the sweets. It's like, so now I eat a lot of sweets now. You know, body cold drink, and I was never a fan of cold drinking.
Mm.
Yabo?
Mm.
So I'm seeing a lot of the traits as I've taken this path.
Okay. All right. No, that's
Mm.
very interesting. Yeah, I have 100 questions, but like I said, you know, let's not make them
Next
too
month,
long. Yeah, this was more of like an intro type of interview.
yeah,
So, because then I'm learning a lot, and there's a lot of stuff that I wanna, you know, talk about,
you're learning
and
a lot about like spirituality.
yeah, I'll let you know, you know. So I have, luckily I know you, so I can, you know, give you a shout, and then you know you'll advise me on also, you know, just like topics to talk about. But I think overall there are certain topics that are out there that are always trending on social media, and I think I'll start
Yeah,
with those
sure.
ones, you know. But yeah, it's very interesting, very interesting. Thank you so much. Gogo
You're
Mameti,
welcome.
so good to meet
You're
you. And
welcome.
ke lebogela nako ya gago.
I wanted to say from my side to you, the period that you are in your life, it's called the yearning.
The yearning.
The yearning.
Okay.
It's when you start to ask questions, meaning at some point, you will be able to understand why you are asking those questions.
Okay. No, I think I do already, but hey, I take it, you know, I take it. I've got my own.
Yeah, it's a beautiful period. Ask as many questions as possible.
Okay.
It's just a stepping stone.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop recording now.